Don't you love when you go to pull into a parking spot and there's a cart in it?
Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. This is Ro. I'm the founder of Strong Prison Lives and Families, and I use my years of experience to help prison wives and family members feel educated, empowered, supported, and loved, not only while their loved ones are serving time, but long after they get out. If you stick with me and use the tools and exercises that me, the volunteers, and even our other members at Strong Prison Wives and Families provide to you, you will live above stigma, you will beat statistics, and you will hopefully live happily ever after. Not sure why that was a tongue twister for me today. Actually, I do know why. I woke up and something last night triggered my asthma really bad, so I had to take albuterol this morning, which speeds me up. I do not like the way it feels. I only take it if it's an emergency, and it was an emergency. Like, my trigger, I don't know if anybody else who has asthma has this sign, but my chin gets really, really, really itchy when I get when either an asthma attack is oncoming or happening, and my chin has been itchy since last night. So I know I'm not sick. I know it's just a weird something that I was highly allergic to triggered this. So I will be better hopefully soon. But the point is, the albuterol speeds me up so much. It's just like when I drink Starbucks and I trip all over my words. That's how I feel today. So please bear with me. So today I got a really good question I want to go over with you guys, and hopefully I can read my own handwriting, because another thing albuterol does to me is it makes my hands a little bit shaky. So I will show you. Chicken scratch, right? So it says, I have a question for you, and I may have done a video about it, but I haven't found it yet, which I have not done a video about this. It's a really, really good question. She said, I find the prison gossip very frustrating. My hubby will tell me things he hears inside that are just total BS. I know it's a way to pass time, but it drives me crazy. He's super intelligent, but lacks street smarts. Any advice? Yes, I have tons of advice. So this actually, I'm going to teach you guys a little prison slang if you don't already know it. There is a slang word for prison gossip called inmate.com. That is not, well, they're not referring to an actual website, and for many years there was no website called inmate.com. Somebody bought up that URL and made it into a prison pen pal website, but usually, anytime you hear about it on prison wife groups, on chat boards, on forums, on Strong Prison Wives and Families, or on the guys inside, they're referring to prison gossip. It's just like saying prison gossip. It's just what they call it. It's called inmate.com. It is not referring to the real website that is now out there, a pen pal website, not what we're referring to. So, if anybody asks you what, my husband said this and I want to know if it's from inmate.com, that means they want to know if it's actually true or if it's prison gossip. Because as this beautiful member stated, prison gossip is a way to pass time. It also, if you think about it, they're with each other 24/7. There is no break from each other when you're in prison and you're an inmate. So I think stories start spreading. I think that there's drama. When you're bored, you conjure up drama, right? You conjure up information, and people will get half-truths, and then somebody will tell somebody something, there'll be half-truths about it, and then people will make up their own conclusion in their head, either what they want it to be, what they would want it to be, let's say legally, like they want a good outcome for them. Then in their heads they might hear that, but in reality it isn't. Or they might hear it, right? So let's say somebody's girlfriend sends them a message, hey, her blah 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 law is changing, it could possibly affect you. He goes to sleep, he thinks about it over and over and over again, and if it does change, then this will happen. And then he wakes up in the morning and he's not necessarily sure what she said versus what he made up in his head. Or people just straight make up stuff to start drama. So I went to Strong Prison Wives on Facebook. Actually, I went to our private group, hashtag invisible shackles / hyphen dash SPWF, and I asked, in one word, how would you describe inmate.com to our members, just to get other people's answers. And there were a few people who did not know it wasn't a real website, so they were like, oh, that's interesting, I'm curious why he's on a pen pal website, I'm gonna keep following this post. It's not a website. We're not referring to a website when we're talking about inmate.com. Again, it's slang for the gossip mill and how it runs inside of prison. So I got every answer from it's entertaining, all the way to it's annoying. People said it's stupid, it's unreliable. There were a lot of rolling eyes emojis. It's ridiculous. And then there were one person said it's 98% BS. And then another person who actually was formerly employed inside of a prison said 95% of the stuff that went around while she worked in there, the inmate.com gossip, 90% of it was false, was inaccurate. And then somebody else made a really good point. She said the only time that she's found that it's pretty reliable is when it's about a lockdown. So word spreads really fast. Like if there's a fight on the yard and they're about to get locked down, that's going to spread really fast. And maybe what the fight is about, who's involved in the fight, that could all probably be misconstrued. I mean, it's happened to me before when Adam, years and years and years ago, there was a situation and he wound up with a black eye, right? So that trickled all the way down to guys going after him because they wanted the glory of, quote unquote, beating up a lifer where he just hit his face on something and he got a black eye. Like, that literally is prison gossip. So they see somebody with a black eye and they're like, oh, somebody wanted to beat up the lifer, to kind of get like notches in their belt. Didn't happen. So to answer this woman's question, my advice to you is, he's a really smart guy, but he doesn't have street smarts. And how do I not get involved in this? Like, what advice do you have for me when it starts getting annoying to me, or I get my hopes up? Because what happens to me with a lot of stuff is, or in the past, I would get my hopes really high and then it wound up being just BS, gossip, fake, and then you get crushed. So my advice, first of all, fact check. So that's why we develop Strong Prison Wives and Families. Go on there. Hey, my husband is saying X, Y, and Z about this law. Has anybody heard about this? Google it. You will always find news articles. If a new law is passed, if something is changed, go to .gov, .org, .edu sites, like Google it and look for those reputable sources. The Atlantic always prints articles about this kind of stuff. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. There's people like law professors' blogs. Once you start studying this stuff and getting versed in the laws that you're sentenced under, or your husband or loved one was sentenced under, you'll be able to find the people in your niche who report on those laws. Like, I'll go a lot to, there's a guy named Douglas Berman who has a blog about federal stuff. I think it's called Life Sentences Blog or something like that I've followed for many years. He's a law professor out of, I can't remember what law school, but his stuff is always accurate. He always posts about breaking things. So I'll always fact check that information. My husband, thank God, has been down for long enough. It'll be 20 years this upcoming month in February. I'm sorry, it'll be 19 years in February that he's been incarcerated. So we've been doing this so long, he won't even mention anything to me until he fact checks it. Because he's been involved in inmate.com for so long, he won't get wrapped up in the BS anymore. So my advice to you is to start calling him out and being like, remember last time you did this and it wound up not being true? Well, let's think about that. Like, it's going to turn into that situation of the boy that cried wolf. I'm not going to believe you about these things, so stop talking to me. Like, one thing that somebody commented, I believe it was Joe, commented when I asked on Facebook what people thought, just because I wanted, some funnies for this video, and she goes, oh, it's not broadcasted to me anymore. Inmate.com is closed down in my book because I don't let him tell me about it. I don't want to be involved. So if it's just like inside gossip between the guys, this guy doesn't like this guy's going to fight this guy, this gang's going to fight that gang, so-and-so brought in this, so-and-so saw this person's wife at visit bring in stuff. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. My life, it's just like gossip out here. It's just like gossip in your office or at school or within your family. Like, it just takes away from your life. So who cares? If it doesn't affect you, tell him you don't want to hear it. I understand it makes him happy, but you might have to have that conversation with him. Like, what else can we do with your time that you could be using it productively? What books do I need to send you? What writing materials do you need? What crossword puzzles do you need? How about a few love letters to me? Who do you need to contact? What do we need you to do so you don't get involved? You're not bored and you don't get involved in that gossip. How can we help you live above it, beyond it, away from it? What can we do so you're not involved? Get him involved with a good group of guys who just doesn't feed into that. Now, I'm going to say, I think they all feed into it. That's wrong. Not that they all feed into it, but I think that they all hear it. You know, you walk into the chow hall and somebody's in your ear, no matter how much you live above it. But what you do with that information once it hits is going to be all the difference. Are you going to keep feeding it, you know, pouring fuel on that fire and allowing it to grow? Or are you just going to say, all right, I'll believe it when I see it? Or is he going to go to his people, by you, I mean, I'm sorry, him on the inside. Is he going to go to his people, fact check it, or even come to you and say, hey, listen, this is probably BS, but I heard this. Can you do me a favor and just search it and let me know? So I think that's it. Like, I think honestly, you're just going to have to use these examples to make your case. I was going to say against him, but it doesn't have to be like that. I think you just need to use these examples to make your case. Like, if it's not something that can help us or our relationship or is constructive, then just don't tell me. I don't care. Like, that, we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to waste our precious minutes. We don't need to waste our emails. We don't need to waste our visit time together talking about nonsense and like other people. Who cares about these people unless they've become your genuine friends that you really think that you're going to have a relationship with for the rest of your life, which we have quite a few of those. But if something happened to one of, you know, our father figure like friend in there, absolutely I want to know because I want to help him. But if it's just some BS gossip with some other guy that lives, you know, on the other block and we don't really know him, but his girl and him are fighting about, don't tell me. I don't want to know that. And then, if it's something legal, please tell me not of it, you know, tell me I heard this. Can you please check on it? And even if he's like, listen, the law's going to change, blah, 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 so-and-so said it. You keep that at arm's length until you can get that confirmed for yourself, because it is infuriating and it's annoying, and especially if it's legal, because you're wrapped up in that. Your feelings and emotions are involved. So I would just keep it at arm's length until you could fact check it. And then if it's wrong, and when the times that it's wrong, then I would just you don't have to beat him up with it, but just keep reiterating to him, this has happened before. Remember how this happened last time. Why don't we get some facts before you come to me with this? Why don't we, why don't you keep that stuff in there, etc. So that's my advice to you. You know, and you could point him out, like, you're a really smart guy. This isn't really smart the way you're reacting. And just point it out to him, because remember, they're in like a fishbowl, right? Have you ever been involved in a community where, like, for me, it was in the gyms, right? So I always use gym and bodybuilding and fitness examples, but that's my other passion. So hopefully this will help. But when I was involved in competing in fitness, there was a certain look that I needed to have to be competitive on stage. So they liked the girls to have big, round, cannonball shoulders, they called them, right? It's like a big, round, you see like a gymnast, a tiny waist, and then these big legs. In fact, I didn't place high enough or as high as I wanted to in a competition once. I think I got third. Obviously, you're always going for first, because my thighs didn't touch each other, because they wanted you to be thick enough on the bottom that your thighs actually touched. Well, I'm naturally on the thinner side, so when I dieted down for this show, I just didn't have enough muscle in my legs. I liked the way I looked, but in the gyms and within that small knit community, bigger was better. So all these women started getting tunnel vision, right? And so I would walk into a hardcore bodybuilding gym, and there would be a group of women friends who were not what I wanted to look like, right? They were their physiques started looking very masculine. Their arms were jacked and huge, and their shoulders were huge, and their waists were teeny tiny, and their legs were like jacked, right? And they would all encourage each other, bigger, 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 because it was tunnel vision. It was a tiny community, and within that community, that was hot, and that was amazing. And when you walked out into the mainstream, a lot of these women became freak shows, because a lot of them were using large amounts of testosterone and steroids, so their hairline started going back. They actually started getting like a chiseled, squared off jaw. They started obtaining masculine features because they were using male hormones in their bodies. But they didn't see it like that anymore, because they were all enabling one another, because that's all they saw. It was their little community. So I hope you get my analogy. It's kind of the same thing in there, where he doesn't even realize that he's being a gossip, or that he's as a smart man, not somebody's parking in the spot with the cart. That's hysterical. Don't hit it. You hit it. You just hit it. I guess you don't care about your car. With that, you know, that he doesn't realize as such an intelligent person that he's falling into this because he lives inside of that fishbowl, the tunnel vision. So you might just have to point it out to him a couple of more times, or a couple more than a couple of times, depending on how he is. And hopefully it doesn't lead to like an argument or a disagreement. But even if it does, what the beauty that I've found in this life is, you can have an argument and a disagreement. You could both go your separate ways because you have to, right? After 15 minutes, at least for the feds, the phone hangs up on you. And I know you're federal. The phone hangs up on you and you're done. And then he has to go back to his cell and think about that. And you just have to go about your day and think about it. And we have a little bit more of a distraction than they do. But the point is, you planted that seed. You're out here. You're still the normalcy of, like, you're kind of his tether to normal life. So hopefully that will go in and kind of he'll, you know, realize after a while, because Adam did. It took a while, but Adam did. He doesn't go, half the time I come to him with inmate.com and I'm like, hey, did you hear this? And he's like, breathe. Yes, I heard it, but let's talk about the facts. Okay, this and this has not happened. This has happened. So when anything else does happen, you're gonna have to trust me. So you could trust all of those other people, or you could trust me. Who's proven to be more trustworthy? And it could be one of those. So I hope that helps. Really long-winded. Thanks, albuterol. Just want to point out, because I always do, my fingernails. Aren't they gorgeous? They're from Christmas. I haven't had a chance to go do them. And my girlfriend Sarah's husband always he hates when we call ourselves ratchet. But Sarah girl, this is pretty ratchet looking. So I can't decide if I'm just going to go back natural or if I'm going to get them done again. I was letting them breathe and I was natural for a little while. You know, saving money and saving time, because like I've told you guys a million times, it's not a stress-free situation for me when I get my nails done. It's very stressful because I can't do anything with my hands. I have to find the time to make the appointment. Sometimes it's on my lunch break and then I'm taking way longer than I should. So I'm nervous that I'm going to get in trouble there. So again, I think I'm making my own case to get them off, but they do look really pretty when they're done. And they make my fingers look like a little bit leaner, you know? Nobody likes man hands. So that's it. I will see you guys in the next one. Feel free to comment below with your thoughts on inmate.com, with your thoughts on other prison gossip, any other slang that you want me to explain, any other questions you have, anything. Comment below and I will be happy to happy to help you with it. Keep staying strong, keep loving strong, keep supporting one another through this journey, because you're one day closer to it all being behind you. Lots of love from my heart to yours. Now is the kiss. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.